Hello, this is going to be the first ever video, I think, on the Lego Spuddy channel. Ever. Well, the first of hopefully many. I'm kicking it off with just a tier list, I think. Just something nice to kind of end the year on. I haven't really been doing as much as I like, but it's a tier list of all the new sets that have been released in 2024. My personal opinion, it's going to be a bit of a strange one because I have a very big personal opinion on certain sets. So, straight away, I just kind of think it's forgettable. I'm not a lover of mini sets at all. I just think they're cool for kids and stuff, but other than that, for me, it's just a big fat no to both of them. I think they look good for what they're displaying and what they're meant to be. But in terms of whether or not I'm going to buy them, no. Up next, we've got the Droid Gift of Purchase. Droid Carrier Gift of Purchase. I think it was an amazing set. Solid. I'm definitely going there for it because I think the problem with it can't quite be elite is the fact that it is stuck behind a paywall. And that will be kind of similar with a few others, is whether or not they're good enough to be an elite set is how accessible I can get them as well. Because Droid Carrier looks amazing and it's nice, but it's just droids. And it's great for what it is, but it's just not accessible enough for me. And it's kind of the similar vein of the lightsaber. A beautiful, beautiful bit. But again, it's stuck behind a paywall. I can't get it. I can't have it. So as solid as it is, it can't be bumped up any higher, I think, because of how nice it is. But it's just, yeah, for me, not great. Moving on to the next one, which is the Rebel versus Stormtrooper gunship with the... I don't even know what droid it is. It's the pink one. I just called it the pink droid. Again, I think that's an elite set. 100% an elite set. Great minifigs all around. Very, very nostalgic from my childhood. I loved this set as a kid growing up. I used to have many of them. I remember coming home. My grandparents would have one on the side for me, and it very much invoked that emotion for me. I'm gonna have quite a lot of leaks. I think this is a good year, actually. I do think this is a good year. Following it up with probably my next elite, definitely, is the Clone Battle Pack. Well, Super Battle Pack. What an amazing set that was this year. Great for army builders. Very accessible because it always goes on sale in the UK, so you can pick up for about £17.99. It is amazing. It's a great set at £25. It's brilliant. There's nothing wrong with it. The build's amazing. The minifigs are amazing. The droids are even Super Battle Droid, brand new, amazing. Next up, I think we've got the Super Commando versus Mandalorian Battle Pack, retailing at about 20 quid in the UK. It's okay. The build leaves a lot to be desired. The minifigs are nice, but there's kind of, other than the Super Commandos, which I think are elite, the Night Owls are just a bit meh. Again, a lot of good pieces for mock builders and I guess just really mock builders. There's not really much else to do with the pieces. It's not a particularly attractive build. But anywho, it's a solid, it's an average set, I'd say. It's good. Next up, we have the Onyx Cinder, retailing at about £139 UK. I'm only putting it in average because I haven't yet built it. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but the minifigs are nice. I need to watch the series because apparently the series is good, but I'm only putting it in there for the short term. I think it's one set that will go up in the future, but I also kind of want to make things decked out at the lower end as well. Forgettable. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the midi-scale Millennium Falcon, only because I feel like we get so many Millennium Falcons, it has to have something different to stand out. And a lot of people say, well, that's what mid-scale is for. Yeah, it is, but it's not for me. It's a cool set, and I can see very easily how it could be someone's elite, could be solid, could be average, could even be dead. But for me, I like a mid-scale. I think other ships are done better, like the two that I'm going to discuss next, I think are done better at mid-scale, purely because we haven't had these sets for such a long time that they look cool in mid-scale, and there's something that is unique about them. I've already got the Millennium Falcon in big scale, and they've got the one in the £679 mark. And for 60 quid, I would like a minifig or something, a Han Solo, something to really set it apart from the other sets. Because the retail value alone doesn't feel worth it enough for me just for these parts. It's not special enough for me. Now, moving on to the next one, you see these. The Tantive, which is about 54, I think, in the UK. Again, solid. Purely because it's accessible enough, it's cool enough to be a unique set, and just looks very good to the original ship. And for me, that's what makes it solid. I love it. It's awesome. But also, it is a unique ship that if you display it, everyone's going to go, oh, what's that ship? Oh, the Tantive. Rather than looking at it going, oh, it's the Millennium Falcon again for the 15th time of the year. Which then leads on to the Invisible Hand, also retailing about 50. Beautiful ship. And for like nerds like me who love Star Wars, something like that is great. Because it is unique. It is something that is a part of kind of, I would say, our uniqueness is ships like this. It's what makes the Clone Wars for a lot of people, is stuff like the difference, the uniqueness, and that's why these get pushed up to being solid. Moving on, we're going to have our first dead, which feels really mean. So I quite like the Lego set as a whole, but it wasn't needed. It could have been so much better. And it just wasn't. The build leaves a lot to be desired. The minifig is amazing, but we've already had 5i first, and they were without helmet holes. And I'm not a helmet hole hater at all. I don't care. But the one thing I dislike now is the fact that they have helmet holes. I think it's either you have one or the other. You can't have both. You can't go, well, you're going to have half an army with helmet holes, half an army without helmet holes. It's fine for the commandos because you can change and chop them and they're unique. But as clone actual troopers, it's just awful. And again, forgettable for the next one. We're retailing at about £79 in the UK. Just awful. The only saving grace is Malak. That's what's put it from being dead. It's forgettable though, because we've had so many R2D2s. And again, it puts it down because the Malak is not accessible enough for me. I'm sat there going, he's essentially stuck by a 70 quid paywall. I had to pay £32 for him outside of that set. That says a lot about the minifig on its own. It is a wanted minifigure. And I'm not happy about the fact that it is stuck behind that paywall. I like Anniversary Fix and it makes something nice. But it sometimes annoys me when they are stuck in such a high set for a valued figure. And it's just a set that we've already had multiple times throughout the years. Constantly. Like, they've retired one to then bring this one out. It just isn't good. Moving on to the next one, which retailed, I believe, around 54. I will be adding the actual prices in the subtitles, but I'm doing this a lot of this off my head and just reeling off because I quite enjoy doing stuff like that. But the next one is the Diorama, Pod Racer Diorama. Again, average. Nice set, nice pieces. Unique in some terms. It's a solid set, but it's an average solid set. It's not quite like solid, whereas I'd have that displayed. It's average solid, where it would be on the wall, but it would be rotated in and out. It's cool, it's nice, and there's not really much else I can say for it other than it's just a cool, unique set. It is just what it is. It does well at what it wants to do, but it's not special, in my opinion. And up next, we've got probably the next dead one, the Droideka. Again, it looks fabulous and it looks amazing, but it's just not there. It feels, I don't know about myself or other people, but looking at it just looks like there's something wrong with it. And the mini Droideka is awful. That can be scrapped in the bin straight away. And you can pick it up cheap enough in the UK because I've seen it for go around £45, which is why I don't really know the retail off the top of my head, is because my retail value in my brain is the one that I see on sale. And it's on sale for about 45. And it's good. It is worth it. But it's just, it's lackluster is what I'd say. Next one up, we've got this, which is again average. It is the UCS TIE Fighter. Again, just it is cool, but I kind of sit on the manner of, was this ever really a needed set? No. I would have much preferred... Well, it's TIE Striker, I think it is. No, it's not TIE Striker. It's the other one. It's the four-pronged one. I just can't remember what they're called. And it's cool. And it is a very nice display piece. Don't get me wrong. It looks nice. But at a high price point, 100 plus, it's something that I'm not going to pick up necessarily straight away. And I think a lot of people might do the same. Whilst I have some reservations about the Sith Film Refrigerator, at 60 quid, it is just so overpriced. Makes it so inaccessible to me, and it doesn't seem like it is worth it. The only saving grace to me is Saw Gerrera, who I will try to pick up outside of buying it. I dislike it so much because I just don't think it looks good enough to warrant that. And with only 4 minifigs, one of them being an anniversary one, I don't think it worths that price. And again, Saw Gerrera is then locked behind a paywall of 60 quid, which I know some of it will be Saw Gerrera tax. But that's not enough for me to go, sweet, I want to drop 60 quid on this. Next up, we've got probably the third dead one. I don't even know what this is called. I don't even glorify it. It is from the awful set line. I've seen this go for about 25, but I've seen it on sale for as low as £5. It is just forgettable. Minifigs aren't there. Everything about it is just awful. And again, the next one is, I can't even pronounce it, but it is the battle with Ahsoka, Thrawn, Ezra, one Death Trooper, and the lady. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. And the build is awful, in my opinion. It is just a grey slab. It suffers from what the Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan set did a couple of years back. Except for, I think the execution of this one is even worse. There's no real, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Potential. There's no potential. There's no saving grace. Even the minifigures, the only good one is Thrawn, in my opinion. Because Ahsoka you can get elsewhere. And she's kind of the only other cool one I would like is Ahsoka. Death Trooper's coming out in a battle pack in the 2025. Ezra is just iffy. And even then, it just is not a great set. It's just awful. Next up, we have Moff Gideon, well, Paz Vizsla versus Moff Gideon and Praetorian Guards, which I think retails about, I want to say just under 30, but I've seen it going for around 25. I think it's a $32.99 set, but I've seen it retail for, well, in shops at around 26, which is why I'm all over the gaff of what the prices are. And I think this is an elite set. It builds upon what I think the Super Commander Battle Pack does kind of okay, but makes it good. The build is beautiful. The build is great. The build looks nice, and you get a good set of minifigs. Moff Gideon looks really nice. The Praetorian Guards I actually relatively do quite like. I think they are good figs, and I think they would look nice in an army. Paz Vizsla, very similar to the other one, which I liked. And a Moff Gideon with a nice helmet mold. I personally like it, and I think it's a great set. It's all over an elite set. There's not really much I can say about it. This, I think, has been the biggest disappointment for me in 2024. Is the Tantive, well, the Darth Vader Enter the Tantive. I think it was the biggest disappointment for me in 2024. I picked it up for about 45, and I think it's retailing at about $59.99. The Fives helmet mold, Fives as a minifig is awful, which really saddens me as a big clone enjoyer. I'm a big clone enjoyer, and it's no better than the Rebel Carrier versus Stormtrooper gunship. It's no better than that. The only saving grace is you get Darth Vader and Captain Antilles. But other than that, the set itself is okay. It's a corridor. It's nothing to write home about. But the unique feature, which was Fives, was so poorly executed that I cannot forgive this set. I own it, and I do like it, and I would happily accept someone putting it in solid elite, gettable dead for it. But for me, it is my biggest disappointment. Next one, we have got the Captain Bob Starfighter. about $25.99, and it's solid. I love Gonki. I can't remember his name from the show. Clone Trooper Akbar and Jedi Bob. It is a solid set. It looks nice. It is fun, and it is everything that I want from a Lego set. I feel like it's correctly priced. I feel like it is accessible, and I feel like it is fun. And for me, that is the staple of a solid set, which is leading very nicely onto the Dark Millennium Falcon at $129.99. That's what I've seen around here, and it is beautiful, and it is great. It's fun. It's something different. Although it is a Millennium Falcon, it is stylized different. I can accept that it is unique in its own way. And their fig selection is also awesome. It makes something different for it as well. So I believe it is more of a solid set that way. It is everything that I think makes a Millennium Falcon average bumps up to a solid, because it is just so much better and different in a different way. Moving on to the mech at $9.99. I don't like the mech series at all. I think they are awful. I don't understand them. I don't think they have a place for Star Wars. I think they're cool. Like for Marvel, awesome. I think they're nice. I think they're cool. But for Star Wars, it just feels like a cash grab and a way to bump up Microfighters pricing. Really, that's what it feels like to me, which is why I don't particularly like them. And I'm going to put the Captain Rex in average. I've bought it at $12.99. Just think it's past the minifig is great, and it is probably an elite set for most. I think the one thing that sets me back is the price more than anything. You can pick them up for about $9.99 sometimes if you're lucky. And I have my reservations about the fact that I do think people have a point with the fact that he came out in the Venator and he should have stayed in the Venator. I do think there is a small point there because of the fact that people have bought it for Captain Rex. I'm not a big fan of people buying it and selling him. I understand there are people that have gone out there and bought him. I wouldn't have minded if he didn't have arm printing. That would have been fine. Something unique, something different. Hell, even if it was a different version of him, that's fine without their bandage on their head, with hair, with anything. Just something, I think, to differentiate the two. Now onto the droids. Okay, another dead one. I think it had potential to be amazing, but the price point of about 70. The Leia is just an awful minifig from an awful series. Actually, I quite like the minifig, and I quite like the droid. But it just is not needed, in my opinion. It was an awful TV show, and the character Leia from there really annoyed me. I just didn't like it. I wish I could review that show. I want to do that as well on this channel, is like review other Star Wars content as well. But that was just awful. Like, she wasn't a good enough Leia to be Leia yet, and I did not enjoy it. So for me, it is straight away dead, because I think the droids are awful as well, in the fact you can put hats on them and stuff. Whilst it is a fun play feature for kids, for me, I just think it is not anything I really ever want. Which leads nicely onto the next one, which is the X-Wing and TIE Fighter mashup from the Rebuild the Galaxy line. Which I think is solid. Actually, I'm going to think, I lied. I'm putting it in average. There are some features I like, and there are some features I don't like. I like the droid, but minifigs leave a lot to be desired in my opinion. But I like the mashup features, and I think for children it's great. But the price point and what I'm looking for from a TIE Fighter and an X-Wing, which is two nice sets to display, I think play feature wise, it's so much better for a child than it is for someone like me who wants to collect and display. Yeah, I'd like to play every now and then with them and display them at mocks. I just don't think it has the same capabilities as a normal X-Wing or a normal TIE Fighter does. And I think that leads on nicely to this one, which is I've seen for about $139.99, which is the Star Destroyer with Cal Kestis as its 25th anniversary minifig. Again, what I like about this set is that it does what it wants well. And with that, I think the minifig selection is nice. I think the Cal Kestis is actually a very, very good print. And it has good for what you want to do. Would have liked to have seen him with a BD. I think that one little tweak, if he had an actual BD, would put it elite. Because not everyone had the same opportunity I did to, or wanted to buy the BD droid. But people might have wanted a Cal Kestis minifigure. And I feel like they go hand in hand, so you want a BD droid for him. That, I think, would have taken it to elite. is just so close of being there. Maybe even a Palpatine as well, add that in. Great. Swiftly on, $24.99 for this year's advent calendar. And I personally think it's forgettable. I thought the minifigure selection was awful. The only one, as I said, I liked and I remember really was the what's it called? Ahsoka. I don't think that's actually this year's one, but I'm gonna just say it is. And I didn't really like it. It wasn't there for me. There's not really much to talk about there. It is an advent calendar for kids. It does the job. And for me, this year it didn't do the job. I'm not a kid, so I don't appreciate the mini builds as much as a child would. And I'm very much by it for the seasonal minifigs. I just didn't feel like it was there for me. Moving on is the Sarlacc pit with the skiff. I picked this up for 60 quid. So 60 Great British pounds, and I love it. It's one set that I thought that I didn't think I would. I looked at it and I saw an overpriced piece of junk, but I really wanted Neon Nub. And whilst he loses a bit of points because the minifig that I think people would want is locked behind a 60 quid paywall, I think the benefit of someone having like Neon Nub here is the fact that I don't think as many people are going to want to go out and buy a set just for Neon Nub. But if he is there, it is then beneficial. You see, so it goes both ways. So I buy, and I'm happy with that. I'm fine. It is good, and it does exactly what I want from the set, and it looks amazing. I don't really know how it can move to Elite because I don't think there's much else it could do, but I don't think it has that pizzazz to say this is a set I want to spend my money on straight away. Jabba's sail barge is a very difficult one. I would like to put it in between Elite and Solid because like I'll put it at the end of Elite. I think it is just that much of a good UCS set, but actually I'm putting it down at Solid partially because of the price. The UCS set is a whopping, I think he's about £600. It is so much for the average consumer that they're not going to be able to spend, but it's got such a nice minifig selection that you want it. I would love to own a Jabba. I would love to own a Max Rebo. There's other characters in there that people would want and would like to get, but it would be difficult to get hold of because of the price. Me making it as less accessible as the other ones in Elite, but it doesn't. It's still such a solid set that it holds up against all the others and probably is the best on the list. But again, it's the price. Anyway, it's straight leaving it up with C3PO dead. Forget it. It's gone. It's an awful set. I don't like it. I'm not a really big fan of stuff like this. Works well with the Chewbacca, but not my cup of tea. Anyway, if you have liked, please do make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Every little helps. This is a brand new idea I'm trying to bring to the channel. I want to be doing other things. If you have any Lego questions about my opinions or the next year's, I would like to hear them. I have no clue what I'm going to do with this channel. Maybe I'll add other content about other stuff like TV shows, my reviews. I would like to do reviews on sets, so that will be coming hopefully next year as well. I'm going to be definitely starting that. I've got a bit of a backlog that I'm building up that I want to do. I would like to move into other stuff, but I do primarily do Star Wars. But I like medieval stuff, and I recently picked up a medieval village, so I might rebuild that, and you never know, review it. So yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye.